What is going on, everyone? We are doing a real quick video today. All we're doing is an update on my chest freezer bait tank. So that video has been doing really well. A lot of people have been viewing it, asking questions, so I thought I'd do a quick update. I have changed some things. Some things are a little different. I've had it for over a year now and learned a lot from it, so we're just going to go over a few things. So first of all, I have a brand new freezer from the one that I made the original video with. So what happened was all the refrigerant leaked out of that old freezer and it stopped working. And when something happens to these freezers, unless you know exactly what it is, it's usually not worth it to get it repaired, because it's going to cost the same price as buying another one to repair it. So it's better to just get a new one. So that one broke. I listed it as a broken, non-functioning freezer on Facebook and got like 20-30 bucks, I can't remember, for it. So if you do have one that craps out, you can sell it. Just make sure you sell it saying it's broken, because people will come and buy it and try and fix it. But anyways, this one is a brand new one that I got from Menards. I actually got a really good price on it because it was pretty beat up. Like, there's a dent down there and there was a huge dent on the lid. Obviously the lid gets taken off when I make this, so that wasn't a big deal, but it looked like it was just a box that they had dropped when they were bringing it into the building, and so they had it significantly discounted. Still came with a year warranty, so I went ahead and got it, and it's been working great. Let's go inside the tank. So first thing you'll notice is we got a light here. So I actually just got that. What happens with these chubs and these minnows is they start getting kind of weird when you have them in here and there's no light ever. Especially when they go days and days in darkness. You open this lid and they just absolutely flip out. So I have the light in there. I think they seem to do much better with a light. This light is on a timer. So if you want this light, all it is go on Amazon or eBay and you just search LED aquarium light with timer. That's it. And there'll be a bunch of different ones. This one I got was 13 bucks. There's ones like 8 bucks all the way up to like 30 bucks. Choose whichever one you want, different sizes, stuff like that. But it's pretty simple. It runs off this little remote thingy attached to the cord. It has a white light, and this one has a white light and a blue light. So I have both the white and blue on right now. You can adjust the brightnesses of them, and it has a little timer setting. You just click through the buttons and you can do, this one has a 6-hour setting, 10-hour setting, and 12-hour setting. I have it on the 10-hour setting. That's probably what I'll always have it on. So every morning at about like 8 o'clock it turns on, runs from 8 until 6, 10 hours, turns off, and then turns on the next morning at 8 again. So just runs like that every morning, every day, turns on for the day. Helps them out a lot. Second, you'll remember I used to have a spray bar in here that sprayed, and what I noticed was that was causing, you see a little bit of bubbles here. That spray bar was making tons and tons of bubbles. So what I did was took that spray bar off. This piece of piping that went down just a little bit and then turned into the spray bar, I just put a longer piece of pipe. I had extra pipe. When you buy all this pipe, usually you have a lot of extras, which is nice, so you can kind of change things up if you need to. So I just put a piece of piping all the way down to the water, put that elbow on there, and as you can see, the water falling through these tubes puts out plenty and plenty of bubbles to oxygenate this water. And then if you can see, with it turned like that, it kind of hits the wall and creates a current in here. And so you can see most of the chubs are down here in this corner, and that's kind of the calm area. But then you can see over here you got more current, and there's ones that are kind of just swimming in the current, which I think is nice. They get to choose. They can either sit in current or sit in the still water, and it seems that they really like that because they'll be moving back and forth, I've noticed, when they want to swim and when they just want to sit. Okay, next to the filter, really quick, I put a towel I just wedged underneath there, and the reason I do this is As you can see right now, I got it set to 42 degrees. So the water in there is very cold, but the temperature of the air is in the 60s out here. So you get a lot of condensation on these pipes, as you can see, and on this bucket. It isn't leaking, it's just condensation on the outside, and it ends up running down and kind of makes a pool of water there. So I just put that under there, and every week or so, you know, pull that out and put a new one under, and that's really not a big deal. So now we'll go to this Inkbird. So there's a few settings on this that are pretty important. The reason my last fridge or freezer crapped out is the more you have these freezers switching on and running, turning off, you're reducing the life of the freezer. So there are a few settings on here, at least the way I use it now, to try and make it last longer. So first of all, this setting is the temperature. It's set to 42 degrees. Heat differential, that doesn't apply to this. That's for the heat setting. Cold differential, I put it to 6 degrees. So what that means is it's set to 42 degrees right now. It will kick on when it gets 6 degrees past that. So 42 obviously plus 6 is 48. Once the temperature in there, once this number gets to 48, it will switch the freezer on and it will cool it down to 42, switch it off, wait until it gets back up to 48, switch it on, and so forth. And I chose 6. So before I had it on 2, my previous one, that one crapped out. Set it to 6, and it gives it a lot more time. It takes, I don't know, it's got to be like 5-6 hours before it gets from 42 up to 48, especially during the winter, and that's when I have it set to this low of a temperature. So it just helps the freezer a lot. So let's go through a few more of these. Alright, temperature differential, already went over that. Alarm high, I just put to 70, so we'll just shut off when if it stops cooling and ends up getting high, we'll shut off. Alarm low, 33, so if it ends up starting to cool too much and it gets down to where it's about to freeze the water into a block, it'll stop again. Alright, this is the compressor delay. This is an important one because it delays the compressor in the freezer from turning on. And that's just another thing like the cold differential. It keeps it from shutting on and off too often, and it helps the freezer a little bit. And I think we'll go through this really quick again just to make sure that's everything. Alright, there's there. Yep, and then this is just temperature calibration, so we don't need that. So that's all that. The two you really need to worry about is your compressor delay and your cold differential. Once you have those two set to where you want them, it's should be smooth sailing for you. Okay, now as far as getting these chubs, this isn't going to be a really in-depth video on that, but basically what I do is I go and catch them on rod and reel when I can. So until it gets really cold, you can go and you can catch 100. If you have a good spot, you can go catch 100 in an hour, which is perfect because then you have a ton of bait. But when it starts getting colder and you don't have as much time, running traps is really the only way to get it, and because you're gonna have to be sorting through the sizes of the minnows and stuff. So I actually have some, or I had some trap set, and I went out, checked a bunch of them. We did really good. Had a lot of minnows in the traps. So I'm gonna roll that footage right here just so you can see what it looks like when I'm pulling in traps and checking them, and then we'll come back and go over putting them in the bait. Okay, first trap here. Wow. That's a really good trap. Holy cow. I mean, that's probably, it's like 15 to 20 perfect sized chubs. You got that one in there that's pretty big, but honestly I'm gonna keep that one anyways, because every once in a while you throw a big boy down there and you get some big ones. Okay, another trap. The last two traps had nothing or very little. This one's got very little also, but 3 perfect size ones, so we'll take it. Okay, I can already see some in this one. Yeah, that's a pretty typical trap, honestly, for the fall. Once they stop biting, you get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's like 6 to 8 good ones, and I mean, that's about all you can really expect. Sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less, but that's a good trap, especially when you get a lot out. Okay, this is where I generally get my smaller minnows. As you can see, pretty effective. So this pond just has a ton of little minnows. So usually I'll just go through these and get the bigger ones out. Okay, another one of the traps in this pond that I get little ones in. There's 1,000 in it, I can already see. I mean, if this is the size minnow you need, this is the way to do it. I mean, that's like a couple hundred. I mean, that's perfect, like crappie size minnows. Use them on a jig, but usually I like to get them a little bigger than this. So we'll get some of the bigger ones out of here and then let the rest of these go. Okay, next one, and this is a really good one. I mean, these aren't monsters, but they're like perfect size for smaller jig and minnows. So that's a really good trap. I mean, that thing's got to have like 30 really good sized minnows in there. All right, so I think in that check, I don't think I even showed all the traps, but I think I ended up with like, I don't know, somewhere close to like 80 to 100 minnows in that run, which is a pretty good run. So what I do is first I'll just leave them in a bucket. This obviously isn't full, but in a bucket lid. I put foam on the bottom of the 5-gallon bucket lid because they'll start jumping and they'll start beating up their faces a lot. So I've just put foam on the bottom of the lid, just epoxied it on, and so when they jump, they're just hitting foam and not messing themselves up. So I'll just leave them in there overnight. I got like an aerator right here, so I'll just plug in the aerator. And then other important thing is you need to be aware of what the temp in the water is here and what the temperature in that bucket is. So it's 70 degrees in this room about. So if I set that bucket over there, that water in that bucket is going to be 70 degrees. And if I take those minnows and throw them into 42-degree water, they're going to go into shock. And some of them are going to die, and they're not really going to like it. So what I do is I'll just take like an old juice bottle or milk carton, fill it up with water, throw it in the freezer, freezes into a block. I'll do that for like 2 or 3 of them, and I'll throw one in there when I first put the bucket in there, keep it cold, and then I'll throw another one in there before I go to bed. I'll usually let them stay in there overnight in that bucket, and they'll crap out a bunch. You get all the crap and a bunch of piss, and the water is very, very dirty from that first night. And then after that, I transfer them into here. Not that this filter couldn't handle that, but it just helps it out to not overload it with all the ammonia and nitrates right away. So then obviously I separate them out, bigger ones here, more smaller jig and minnow type size ones in here, and yeah, that's pretty good. And then last thing I'll go over is this filter. So it's a biofilter. If you do this and you notice water still getting dirty, maybe you're having minnows die, well, what happens is all of the scrubbers and all the different things in here, bacteria gets built up in there, and then that bacteria, they're good bacteria, they filter out, they feed on all the ammonia and nitrates and all the crap and piss that these minnows produce. But the thing is, it takes a couple weeks for them to really build up in here, and for this to really start working, it takes maybe like a month. So if it's not working right away, it's because you just haven't given it enough time. So in that first few weeks, you're not going to be able to put as many minnows in here, and if you do, that's fine. You might have to change out the water like once a week, or do half a water change, something like that. I actually did, after 2 weeks, a water change on mine. It was getting cloudy, and I was having some die, but now I did a full water change, put the minnows back in, and that filter is running perfectly. I mean, this water is clean and clear, and the minnows, I've not lost a single minnow since then. So that's all I got. Obviously, you got any more questions, leave them in the comments. But I hope this helps you guys out a lot. Hopefully we can get some more trips this fall before ice up using a lot of these minnows, and even after ice up, because they can live in here for a while. It's going to be nice early ice to be one of the only people out there fishing with chubs. So see you guys in the next one.